Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our number corner. Today is April 6th. It's Monday, and we're going to be turning quite a few cards. But first, I left you with the question if this pentagon on April 3rd was symmetrical. And remember, what does it mean to be symmetrical? It's when you take a shape and you draw a straight line through it and cut it into two equal parts. So our first shape was a square. Was it symmetrical? You bet it was. Our next shape was a triangle. Was it symmetrical? Yes, it was. Now we have our pentagon. And I have a little bone to pick with bridges here. I love bridges. I love this program. But, and the kids know this, I like to rant and rave sometimes when we find something we don't necessarily like. So they're used to this. And here's me ranting and raving. Because look at this pentagon. It drove me crazy. I cut them out. And I'm trying, and it's so close to being symmetrical, it's going to drive you nuts. So I folded it, and then I said, are these two equal parts? And I looked really close, and then I thought, maybe I cut it out wrong. Maybe it's my fault, and I'm cutting another one out, and then trying to fold it maybe this way. And let me tell you, I tried and tried and tried, and if you zoom in close enough, you can see it's actually not symmetrical, although it's really close to being symmetrical. So this pentagon is not symmetrical. So right now our pattern goes symmetrical, symmetrical, not symmetrical. And then it goes quadrilateral, triangle, pentagon. Now I want you to make a prediction for our next pattern. Think about symmetry. Do you think the shape will be symmetrical or not? So we're looking for that in our pattern. This pentagon is not. If we were in the classroom, I would say, try to draw me a pentagon that is symmetrical. And we would use the geo boards and we would use our whiteboards. I would ask you to draw me a triangle that is not symmetrical or asymmetrical. Can you draw me one that's not symmetrical? And we would use the whiteboards and we would use our geo boards. And then we would look for patterns with the length of the sides and symmetry, the types of shape and the symmetry. So I want you thinking about symmetry. That's some things I would do in the classroom, because I think we can draw a pentagon that is symmetrical. This one is not, however. Remember, we always count the sides of a shape. We look at the angles. We make sure it's a closed shape. And let's see. I'm going to predict it's going to go to a circle, because who knows with this pattern. What shape do we call that for Saturday? It is a quadrilateral because it has four sides, and it's a special type of quadrilateral. Go ahead and say it, because I know you know it because you're so smart. A diamond! What's another word for a diamond? A rhombus! You're right, it's a rhombus. Now, I'm going to have a lot of work to do tomorrow to test the symmetry. So tomorrow, I'll take these shapes and I'll test the symmetry. And I want you thinking about it. Do you think that rhombus is symmetrical? So now we went back to quadrilateral. So we had quadrilateral, triangle, pentagon, quadrilateral, triangle, pentagon. Do we have our pattern? What? That's the letter E. Okay. Do you think that's symmetrical? Do you think I could draw a straight line? And there is a name for that shape. If we counted the sides, I'm sure there's a name for it. I won't do it now because I might not know the name. Fine. Let's count the sides in the E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I actually know it is a dodecagon. Don't worry if you don't know that. A 12-sided shape is a dodecagon. We'll just call it the letter E. Good thing it was an 11-sided, because I don't know 11-sided. I think it's 12-sided. All right, so we have a weird pattern. We have shapes and then we have a letter, but we can still test the symmetry. I'll have fun cutting that one out. And then today's marker, make a prediction. Do you think it will go back to quadrilateral, maybe a triangle? Let's see what it is. Oh, a wacky shape. How do we know what type of shape this is? Count the sides. Of course, that's the first thing we do. We count the sides. So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-sided shape. And a 6-sided shape is called I hope I can remember. I'm on the spot here. Hexagon. Hexagon. I do these in one take, and I want you to look for mistakes, because Mr. K will make mistakes. I made mistakes on Friday, and it's always fun to see the mistakes Mr. K makes. Yay. It is a hexagon, so I'll be testing these 3 shapes for symmetry. Right now, I'm looking at my patterns and I'm not quite sure yet. I think it might have something to do with if it's symmetrical or not. So we'll test these 3 shapes tomorrow. Now let's go to our next activity. Right now we know it goes symmetrical, symmetrical, not symmetrical. That rhombus does look symmetrical though. Next activity. Our spinner. Yes, last week we collected 12 popsicle sticks, so let's give it a spin. We landed on 3, so right now we're going to see if we can collect more than 12 this week. It's a 4-day week. 1, 2, 3. All right. That was really exciting. Thanks for watching that part. All right, next. Our days in school, 131 days. This is our 131st day of school, breaking it up into tens, breaking it up into hundreds, breaking it up into ones. So 131 is the same as 100 plus 30 plus one little one. And that's our equation. Think about your place value. And on that note, here's one of your pages that you have assigned today. I'm actually really excited about these pages. I like these pages. So let's look at the first problem. Color half of each shape below. I drew my little circle here. So how would I color half of that circle? Now you do know that 1/2 is 1 part of 2. So it's when you have 1 equal part, right? And they try to trick you up by cutting the circle and the square into quarters or fourths. So how do we color half in when it's cut into fourths? Some students would do this, and I know exactly why they would. And they would say, Mr. K, I colored half because I know that 1/2 is 1 over 2, and then that means you only color in one of the spaces. But really, you just colored in not 1/2, you colored in 1/4 or 1/4. Now, this is equivalent fractions. You actually have to color in 2 of the quarters, which is the same as 2 of the quarters, which is the same as 1/2, because look, when you color in 2, you are actually coloring in 1/2 of the circle. Would you agree? I just colored in half the circle. Or I colored in 2/4 of the circle. That's another way of saying 1/2. So practice that. Then you have some word problems, which everyone loves. Make sure you know what the question is asking. That's the most important part. Look for your keywords. In all usually means addition. Difference usually means subtraction. So we look for those keywords in our word problems. Do the best that you can. I'm actually expecting you to get a couple wrong. If you're doing these perfectly, I'm going to be a little suspicious. I want to see what you're getting wrong and what you're struggling with. That way I can help you better and I can be a better teacher. Because if everyone does perfect, then I don't know what I should talk about and I sit here and start ranting and raving, and we don't want that. All right? Even though some of us like it when I rant and rave, but I'm going to try not to. You're going to do this page too. You're looking at your shapes and it gives you some hints. I know you're going to be so good at this. If it has 4 corners, if it has 4 equal sides, and it's not a square, what does it have to be? A rhombus! Because a square and a rhombus are really similar. The only difference is those 90-degree box angles in a square. A rhombus doesn't have the 90-degree box angles. We know that. So if it has the 4 sides, 4 vertices that are equal, we know it has to either be a rhombus or square. And then this one says it's not a square. So you're going to do great at this, I think, if I remember correctly. Now, that's not what you're doing next. You have this page as well. Here's our hundreds grid. And when we use a hundreds grid, we can go up and down. And when you go up and down, you're really going 10. So notice the patterns on your hundreds grid. And they really want you to be thinking about tens. So you find the sum. Start at the 63. So I hope you can kind of see my cursor. I would color in the 63. If I need to add 10, I could count 10 across until I get to 10, or a shortcut, and this is what they want you to do, you can go down 1. And if you go down 1, you go 10 more. Notice how the tens place changed to 73. So see if you can add, use, and subtract using this hundreds grid. You don't need to count out each 10. You just need to go up and down. If I go down, I'm adding 10. If I go up 1, I'm taking away 10. So I want you to do the best with that. I know we didn't practice this much in our classroom yet. So if you don't really get it and you don't really know how to use the hundreds grid, I understand, but I want you to look for the patterns in it. You'll notice patterns all over this thing. I want you to notice that if you go up and down 1, you're really just going up, taking away 10, or adding 10. Notice the tens place changing. Do the best you can with that. You'll notice that they tried to make it tens for all of it, so they really want you thinking about those tens. And that's our video for today. Tune in tomorrow to watch me fold 3 pieces and see if I can test for symmetry. Have a great week. Thanks for watching me take forever to stop the video.